Hey you guys, it's Karen, and I thought I'd come and give you an update and tell you what's going on weight-wise and with the keto eating plan. Things are not going great weight loss-wise, as you'll see from the title. I've actually put on weight. That last video, I think, was that 80 kilograms? I don't know. Anyway, whatever last time I did an update, the week after that, I was on keto and my weight was not budging. It was just not moving. Every single day, the scales weren't moving a bit. I know that some people will say don't use scales every day, but that's always worked for me. Saying that out loud, I think, well, has it though, because you're overweight? But what I mean by it's worked for me when I'm on a mission to lose weight. It's always worked for me. And it gives me motivation. It helps me to see which days have gone well and which days haven't and what things affect my system. That's a much better system for me than trying to record everything. So anyway, a whole week went by, as in a Monday to Friday, where there was just no movement whatsoever. And I was meeting my friend on the Saturday for lunch, and I knew I wasn't going to have a keto day there because we were going to have some cocktails and whatnot. You know, lunch in our favourite restaurant, which I had tried to have keto before and didn't enjoy my meal. And I thought, I'm not going to pay money for, you know, a nice meal and not enjoy it. So I knew I was having a non-keto day. I had planned to go back to it on the Sunday, but didn't because I was out all day on the Saturday with my friend. I didn't end up planning any dinners or anything, and I hadn't done the shopping. And so Sunday was a non-keto day as well. And it wasn't just that it was non-keto. The Saturday and Sunday was a bad day, you know, in that it was, I had cocktails, I had pizza, I had that dinner out, you know, there was takeaways and things like that, and just bad eating. So come the Monday, I had put on 2 kilos, I think. Yeah, I think 2 kilos by then. So 4 pounds. And that's a lot, really, but that is kind of standard for me. I've said before, I lose a lot quickly and I put a lot on quickly. Why I didn't lose that week, I don't know. And I think that kind of contributed to me not being that bothered about going back on keto on the Sunday. What I should have been paying attention to was you didn't put on any weight, you know, and I didn't pay attention to any of my nutrition that week that I was eating keto and not losing anything. I probably wasn't eating the exact amounts that I should have, and yet I didn't put weight on, so I should have been clutching onto that rather than, oh, I didn't lose anything, you know. So anyway, that was the weekend, and I then did another week of keto, I think. Is that right? Yes, that is right, because that was last week. And I've just not updated you yet. So I did another week on keto, and again, still didn't budge at all. So now I'm 2 kilos heavier, and that's not coming off either. And I was just like, you know what? I'm over keto for the moment, because it's so much work. It's so much work in terms of, firstly, it means me cooking. I mean, I suppose it doesn't. I could give the recipe to my husband, but he doesn't get in until like 7, half 7 at night. I need the dinner to be ready for him coming in because I am starving by then. And so is he, you know, to be fair, in order for him to go out to the range, I need to be doing the cooking. And I have never been interested in the slightest in cooking. I've always been interested in baking because I've got a sweet tooth, but cooking just doesn't appeal to me. And it just takes so much time, not just the cooking of it, but the going and getting the ingredients. And especially since, like, I can only get the cauliflower rice that I like from Tesco's, but I can only get the sweetener and the something else that I like from Sainsbury's. And, you know, so I'm having to go to all of these different places and constantly buy in things because there's certainly no way you can buy for a whole week. I haven't found anyway. And I felt like every day was always either today I'm planning what to eat for breakfast, lunch and dinner for the next few days, or the following day I was then going out and shopping and buying stuff for the next few days. The day after that I was cooking and baking to make sure I had stuff for breakfast and lunch, and then I would start that routine all over again. And I know that that's what a lot of people do anyway. You know, like I've said before, if you've got a family and you are making home cooked meals every day, I take my hat off to you. I think that's amazing. I just don't understand how people do it. I don't understand how you have time, especially if you don't like it. If it's something you enjoy, I get. So I said to Kev, you know, there's no point, when I'm that fed up with keto, there is no point in me continuing on. I may have said this before, but if I'm fed up with something, I need to step back and take a break from it, because otherwise I'll break it. You know, I would be like, have keto all day and then go, oh no, sorry, I'm going to have a piece of toast. And that would really defeat the purpose in keto. I know my personality well enough, you know, to know that once I'm that fed up, I need to step back. And the other thing that would happen is if I cheat, and then that wouldn't work in my favour, and I'd also then get so sick of it I'd never go back to it. And I do still believe that keto works. I just think that I've got to do two things. I've got to record what I'm eating so that I can actually see where I'm going wrong. I think I know where I'm going wrong. I think I'm eating too much protein, but I need to actually see it on paper. And there was a few things that happened last week that was like contributed to this I'm fed up situation. And I was trying to record something one day. I thought, right, I'm going to use MyFitnessPal because I've used that before to lose weight. So I'm going to use that. I tried to log in. I couldn't log in. I tried another password and another email. It wouldn't allow it. I said, forgot my password. It said it sent me an email. It didn't send me the email. So then I went into Carb Manager and I found what I wanted, but the nutrition was all wrong. It was things like that where it's like, I'm trying here, but it's just the world is against me and I don't have time to faff around with this. So that happened, but I think that's one of the things I'll have to do if and when I go back on keto, is I'll have to take note of my nutrition. The second thing I need to do, and this is nothing to do with keto, this is just to do with my life in general, is I need to break this habit that I've got into for years of eating in the evening. And I didn't used to eat every evening. I always had a dessert. That was the thing. I had dinner and dessert, and then I didn't eat anything after that. Whereas for the last, 3 or 4 years, maybe even more, I blame Kev because he's always liked salty snacks. I eat crisps every single night, or a little bit of cheese, or just something salty, and then I drink Diet Coke, or sometimes I'll have a Bacardi and Diet Coke. So the second thing I need to do is I need to break the connection with snacking in the evening. I need to do something instead of sitting down for that hour. Because to me, as soon as I'm sitting down relaxing, then I'm eating that goes with that, you know. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I just have to do it, you know. And I had planned on doing it yesterday, but then Kev wanted to have a drink, so I had a drink because he had a beer left over from the weekend. So I was like, right, I'll have a Bacardi then. And then I was like, I'll have a little bit of cheese. And it's just, I don't know what to do with myself to make myself. I know that when I look in the mirror and I see my tummy, I do want to lose weight, but why is that not enough? I don't know. The final nail in the coffin, if you like, of the keto plan for now is that I redid my triglycerides, because I can't remember if I told you in that MediChecks video, but I did not fast. I completely forgot. I didn't forget. When I was doing the test, I had looked at all the instructions and it didn't say you needed to fast. And so I thought, well, maybe now they've got a new way of doing it and it doesn't really matter, or now there's research showing that it doesn't matter, because I didn't feel like they told me I needed to fast. As it turns out though, they had, but it was just in an email. It wasn't as part of the instructions. And I was like, damn it, I should have done that, you know. So I redid the test, fasting, and it was ever so slightly lower, not much. I think, what was it, 1.91 last time, and now, I don't know, maybe it's 1.83, something like that. But my LDL cholesterol has gone up. So it was already high last time when I did that MediChecks video. My LDL, which is the most people believe to be the bad cholesterol, had risen. And repeating the test, my LDL has risen again. And that will definitely be from eating saturated fats, from eating cream, from eating butter, from eating cheese. The big question though is LDL bad for you or not? Now, I've watched lots of videos and I understand the thinking in them all that it may not be bad for you, but none of them have linked any research studies. I can't find any research study that correlates with what they're saying, but I can find lots and lots of research studies that show that LDL is bad for you, and it is a contributor to heart disease, and it does clog up your arteries. And so it's difficult to believe what people are saying, you know, even though doctors are some of the people that are saying LDL is not bad for you, because the evidence is overwhelming that it is. So I don't want to risk it. And it's something that was kind of stressing me out, you know, something that I'm worrying about, because people have said, well, why don't you do keto without those things? But those things are the things that I enjoyed about keto. Cream was like the number one thing that kept me going. Cream and butter. Butter on my toast, you know, one of those little keto bread pieces of toast, like butter all day long, cream all day long. I think I probably could have just drank cream all day long and been happy, to be honest. Those are the things that attracted me to it, that when I made something, I could put butter on it. That I made a coffee and put cream in it and that would fill me up. That was like my afternoon snack. And so, and cheese, I mean, don't even get me started on cheese. I eat cheese every day, probably twice a day. And so I don't see how I could do keto without eating those things, which some people think are good for you. But for me, my LDL has gone up twice since doing keto compared to what it was this time last year. So I have to take note of that, you know. So that's where I'm at. I feel like I'm on a break from keto and I want to see if I can break this bloody snacking habit, because that in itself might help. And of course I didn't do keto this weekend gone, and then now yesterday I was 83 point something kilos. However, today I'm 82 point something kilos. So I lost 2 pounds from yesterday to today, or 1 pound, and I didn't do keto. I just was a bit more mindful of what I was eating, and I was eating more in my usual way, which is, when I thought about it, I was like, it wasn't far off keto. I had my shake in the morning, which is a protein shake, but the only thing that makes it non-keto is I have 10 grams of Options hot chocolate in it. It is sweetener and it's not that many carbs. It's still definitely a low carb shake. And I have 5 grams of agave nectar in it, which again is that's not very much at all. For lunch, I had a salmon fillet, just as is. I sprinkle a bit of lemon, I put some lemon on it, a little bit of salt, a little bit of turmeric, a little bit of chili, and bake it in the oven. So I had that for lunch. Then for our evening meal, we had steak, and we had these cauliflower hash browns that would not be keto. I'd seen them before and had a look, but they wouldn't be keto because there is some potato in there. So we had those, but I literally had like that much of one, because I always eat my protein first. I always have done, so that if I'm still hungry, I eat a little bit of carbs, but I'm not filling myself up on carbs. And so I barely had any at all. So really I just had steak. And then throughout the day I was snacking on, I made some of my little oat bites, and they're oats, coconut oil, a little bit of agave, peanut butter, and some really dark chocolate. So that's probably the most high carb thing I had all day. And then last night, like I said, I had a little bit of cheese. Actually, cheese is something, my cholesterol has not gone up because of cheese, thinking about it. I suppose it might be the amount of cheese I've eaten, but I have always eaten cheese and not had a huge problem with the LDL. So yeah, as you can see, I do eat fairly low carb anyway, and I think that would work out for me if I didn't have, like if last night I didn't have that piece of cheese and I didn't have a Bacardi, I would have lost even more weight. And it will get to a point where I won't lose any more weight unless I stop that. So that's where I'm at just now. I am off to the GP in about 20 minutes to have my blood taken again to test the CRP levels, the C-reactive protein. But I've also got a report back from my, I went to see a consultant, an orthopedic consultant, and she's the lead knee clinic specialist, about my knees. And then I had an MRI, and I've got the result of the MRI. So I'll do a separate video on that. But basically my knees are knackered. And in the MRI it said there was a lot of swelling and inflammation. So that could be what's causing the C-reactive protein. So we'll see what my next test says, because my knees are always sore. So that being the case, the reactive protein would always be high. I think the difference is even the doctor didn't seem to get this, but this was a high sensitivity C-reactive protein, which my understanding is that is linked more to the heart, but I could be wrong. I haven't done in-depth research on that. So no, I'm going to do that today, and then go and buy some paint and whatnot, because I'm redoing my vanity room where I normally film, repainting, so that I'm sort of changing the room around so that hopefully I can have some natural light behind the camera, as I have now in the living room, because it seems to work out much better for me. So that's everything today. That's everything to tell you. I'm going to continue on my usual low carb eating, but I feel like I've learned a lot of lessons from keto. I've learned the areas where I did eat a lot of carbs. I've learned, quite a few things about it. So hopefully it will be even lower carb than before keto, if that makes sense, and see how I get on. And I'll let you know if I break this evening snacking habit. I've thought about having hypnotherapy. for weight loss. But the way I used hypnotherapy to give up smoking, and it worked for me. And I've even, Susan, I think she was called Susan Hepburn. It worked for myself and for Kev, but it was just a CD. We listened to a CD, and the following day we didn't smoke. We threw away our last cigarettes, and we haven't smoked since. And that was, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. But I have even tried, Susan Hepburn has a weight loss CD. I've tried Paul McKenna. And for some reason, it's not working for me. Like I said, I need to tap into, why is it I can't get this correlation between being unhappy with my stomach area and my kind of double chin to when I'm having that snack and drink or whatever in the evening. And I need to break that. So if anyone's got any tips, let me know. Thank you very much for watching today. Hope you guys are doing well, and I will speak to you again soon. I'll keep on doing these updates, by the way. See you later.